hero you were meant to be.
What's up, everybody? And today we're talking about Mortal Kombat 2. Now, I watched the first one with like 4 of my friends, and I'm the biggest nerd out of my friends. And you know, they're just kind of like casuals. And so we watched it, and like at the end of this, end of that movie, we were all like, "Yo, this movie sucks." And so when they announced that they were doing a second one, I was like, are we sure that's a good idea? But after I decided to watch it at home, of course, I wasn't gonna waste my money on the movies, especially when, you know, I did not like the first one. I gotta say that this movie is way better, and I'm glad this movie got a second chance. So this feels like the right move in the direction of this series. This is like the closest to the original 90s movie that most of us enjoyed, and this movie just kind of like, you know, cuts straight to the chase and gets to all of the good stuff, right? So we're gonna start off spoiler free, and then we'll get into spoilers. I don't know if there's really spoilers per se, but we'll start like that. All right, so spoiler free. What I liked about this movie is, again, this one is fun. It is straight to the point. We are in the tournament. People are fighting. They're doing the cool stuff. All right, there's no like random shenanigans on the earth like you know, in the first movie. If you don't like Cole, this movie is for you. That's all I'll say. I like that they got rid of, like, I don't know, in the first movie they tried to make like some weird term of like what it's called to like unlock your powers and blah 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 blah, and this one's just like, hey man, some people got powers and you can figure it out if you can figure it out, and then you got superpowers, and it's like, all right, cool, we don't need to make it that complicated. All right, the action is cool, the fights are cool, the locations are cool. There are moments where characters are clearly doing like stuff from the video game. I don't play fighting games. I played like Mortal Kombat like 9 or something like that with my friend, because he likes the game and he likes to like kick my ass. But like, I don't know, like I couldn't be like, oh, that was the move from like, you know, MK like 8 or whatever, you know. But they're clearly doing moves from the game, so that's cool. There's fatalities, people die, and it's not like, oh, maybe they're dead. And I was like, okay, cool, like we're doing the thing. So again, this whole movie feels like, all right, we're getting, you know, to the good stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have on my notes on the good stuff. Yeah, so we're getting all of this movie just feels like a huge improvement of like, let's just give the fans what they want. And it's like, all right, cool, I'm having a great time. There are some negatives, right? So some of the CG when they're doing the moves is a little weird. You know, sometimes it looks cool, sometimes it's like, eh. I don't think it's necessarily the CG. I think it's just kind of like, you know, how do you make your character look and move in a way of like a video game character? So it's like kind of odd because you have to kind of mix, you know, live action and like CG, and it's just like part of the process, probably part of the issue. So it's kind of like, you know, I guess grain of salt with that one. Sindel, you know, spoilers, but she doesn't use her hair like she does in the video games. It's just like, okay, it's a small thing, but it was like, you know, some of the scenes I felt like could have been like a little brighter, you know what I'm saying? And then some of the locations, sticking with like the CG and stuff, are kind of like, this looks a little weird. I don't know if it's because your eyes are on like a sound stage or something like that, but it just like, it looks a little off. Like, it wasn't bad, it was just kind of like something I noticed. But getting into like the bigger things of this movie, there's like the 2 sorcerers, right? There's like Shang Tsung, and then Shang-Chi's from Marvel. Shang-Chi and I don't remember. No, wait, where is it? All right, Quan Chi, and then Shang Tsung. I figured it out. This is why I take notes. And so my problem with them is that, like, okay, so we got 2 sorcerers, and they don't really feel like they're part of the main story, and they both kind of do magic. They do different magic, but it's like, as someone who's not versed in Mortal Kombat, I was just kind of like, based on like an outsider's perspective watching this movie, following this story, I was like, I don't think we need 2 magic people. I don't really feel like they're both bringing enough to the story to have 2 magic people. Is basically it. So yeah, I feel like some of that could have been cut, and we could have spent more time with, you know, some other characters. Kano's in this movie, and I felt like he was a lot of like, you know, like the jokes and the humor, and, you know, he's being kind of crass or whatever. I don't like him in this one, and I was like, I kind of wish we would have cut him out and figured out some way for someone else to be in here. There is like a part in the movie specifically where I'm like, I kind of already forget why they have to go to the location they go to. But that being said, I was kind of like, you couldn't just figured out a way for those characters to be included into the tournament rather than us going over there, because it just kind of felt like we need these characters to be in the movie. So like, how do we integrate them somehow? When it was just like, I feel like you could have just did some BS and like got them in the tournament. Like, this story isn't that deep for, you know, us to, you know, be all over the place. I think Jade in this movie is kind of like, there's a particular part where I was like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, am I supposed to know like your story? Because this movie doesn't really tell me what your story is. So like, is this moment that you're giving me supposed to be part of your story for me to be like, oh, you're that type of character? You know what I'm saying? And in terms of Katana, who's kind of like the main character almost, like, there's a certain way that they're treating her in the movie, and it's kind of like, oh, you could have done this better. This feels like lazy for real. And I know this movie's like, you know, pretty straightforward, but I was just like, all right, we could have done a little bit better here, guys. But I think the biggest sin of this movie, and I absolutely hate to say this, is Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. I just don't. I think it's like a mixture of the accent and you know, the way that they wrote him and his jokes. I think it just didn't work, and I don't know why. I was watching it just being like, I can't put my finger on why this doesn't work, but it just doesn't work. And you know, for the character to be a martial artist who's like, you know, kind of old and washed up, and you know, he's not really doing his thing anymore. I was just watching this being like, man, I feel like this could have been like the main guy from like Running Man, that guy, or like, I hate to say it, Ryan Gosling, or there was a third like Nathan Fillion. Like there just needed to be like a different vibe to his character, and I just don't think that Carl Urban brought it. And I just kind of wish they would have saw this and been like, we gotta recast. Again, I don't hate Carl Urban. I love like most of his work, but I just don't think he did his thing for his movie. And then like, he kept doing a certain thing that I was just kind of like, I get what you're doing. You're probably making homage to the game, but I really don't need you to do this. I need you to just do the thing, my guy. And so, all of that being said, this movie is better than the first one. It is fun. If you're looking for like some deep, like, you know, rich story for you to get into, I'm like, I don't even know why you're here in the first place. Like, this is just like, we're in the tournament, turn your brain off, have fun, watch some cool fights, you know, bada bing, bada boom, you're in, you're out. And so, yeah, it was funny seeing like, you know, people doing reviews and stuff and feeling some type of way about it. And I'm like, you guys know this is Mortal Kombat, right? Like, I don't know what you thought. Like, you thought this was gonna be like, you know, John Wick or something. Like, it's Mortal Kombat. Have you guys not seen like the original movie? Like, it really isn't that. Hey, there's a tournament, people fight, you gotta make sure that you win so that Earth doesn't get destroyed. Like, it's not, it's 1+1. So I just thought that was it's so weird that people are like, I was expecting like a deep story or something. I was like, it's Mortal Kombat, bro. What are we talking about? Anyways, I want to get into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoilered, this is your time to leave. I'll get into spoilers in 3, 2, where to begin, right? So like I was saying, Katana, her being like a secret, you know, double agent. It was like, she was like going to the tent, and there's like this big beam of light, and then she teleport to Raiden and friends. And you know, hey guys, here's the information you need to know. Warm, a giant beam of light, and then come back. I was like, this isn't sneaky at all. Like, there could have been a different way for her to like, I don't know, do something. Like, I think it would have been better if it was like some weird meditation thing of like, she has to go somewhere and meditate and like maybe like hold the thing, and then like it transfers like her consciousnness or something. Like, I just felt like having her go somewhere when this big beam of light happens, I was just like, what are we doing? Like, of course she got caught. And then as I was saying in the spoiler free part, Jade, right, as someone who doesn't play the games, doesn't know the story of the characters, I was like, all right, cool, they're cool. You know, she's on the bad guy side, but she's not giving like really bad guy. And so when she's like, Katana, I can't believe you made me do this, I have to tell on you, I'm like, are you really down with the, with the Shao Kahn's group like that? Because like you're coming off too nice for you to be like loyal to the clan or whatever. And I just didn't. I think they made the character too soft for me to feel like she was a bad guy. And so I was like, oh, there's not really any mystery. But that being said, it was also weird that I was like, so why are you loyal to everything? I'm sure there was a line in there, but I just couldn't figure it out. But like I was saying, I think Carl Urban just didn't work for this movie. I don't know what it was, but something with the accent and like the maybe his like dialogue, it just wasn't working for me. If you skip forward, I was saying like it should have been like Nathan Fillion or Ryan Gosling or like, I want to say it's Gwen Powell, but I don't know if that's his name. The main actor from like the Running Man movie, I think that just came out recently. That guy, like, it just needed to be someone else to like kind of do that. Like, I'm a washed up like martial arts movie actor, and he just didn't work for me, and I don't know why. I was saying like with maybe I can get it right this way. Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, it was just like, okay, you got Quan Chi who's like doing the, I'm gonna put the metal inside your chest. But with Shang Tsung, I was just kind of like, why are you here? Okay, you stole the powers, and then you brought what's his name with the hat back to life. But like, I think that was him. But like, why do we need two sorcerers? I feel like they're just kind of wasting screen time, and you could have just had one of them do all the work. So I was like, kind of cut that out. Speaking of characters that are cut, I knew Cole was done for when they bring Johnny Cage to the team, and he's like, you gotta have something to fight for. I'm fighting for my wife and my daughter or whatever. And I was like, oh man, this is such an anime telling of like this is what I believe in or whatever. It's like, yo, that character is cooked. And so I was surprised that like he should have technically got the W, right? He slashes Shao Kahn's throat or something like that, and he's like, I got you, you're gonna bleed out. And it doesn't work because he has the little, medallion or whatever, so he heals, and then he just crushes him, and then he puts him in the acid so they'll never find his body. And it's just like, ugh. And I just felt like I had nothing against Cole, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't Cole's fault that he was the problem. I think the problem was like, you have so many characters, it's like, why the hell would you make a new character and throw him in here? And so that being said, I was like, oh, I kind of felt like they did a Rose from like Star Wars of like, okay, I didn't like you in the first one, but we'll see what they let you do in the second one. And the second one was just kind of like, yeah, let's get rid of him. It's like, oh man, I think he could have done some cool stuff later, but I guess he did the thing and now he's gone. My boy Jax is dead. I did not expect them to kill him, so I was like, what the fuck? Jax has always been one of my favorites just because it's cool to have robot arms, right? It reminds me of like Cyborg from Teen Titans. So yeah, rip to him. Liu Kang, maybe again this is like a video game thing or whatever, but he gets like stabbed or something, and then he's like, I get it now, you don't understand, but I'm playing on like a different level, and then he like transforms into fire and then floats away, and I was like, what the hell is that supposed to be? So I was like, wait, what? This is some fucking Obi-Wan type shit. Like, I'm on a different level now. It just turns into clothes. Like, what are we talking about? Like I was saying, Sindel, that fight was cool, especially like when Sonya was like holding up the dead body, and it was, she was like blasting away like the dead parts, and the part where like Sonya tries to like hit her head into the spike, and she like screams to like push herself back. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was waiting because I was like, I don't know the video games enough, but I know that she uses her hair, right? I was like, oh, when's she gonna use her hair? And then she didn't. I was like, what the hell? I wish they would have played more into the fact of like, oh, she's what's her name? She's Katana's mom, but she's like a zombie version of her. I was like, oh, like what are we gonna do with that? And then they did nothing with that, and I was like, I feel like that could have. It just made me feel like she didn't love her mom that much. Right? She only really cared about her dad, and I was just like, oh, well, I kind of wish we would have had a moment of her being like, that's not my mother anymore, or something like that. The fact that like her mom's like this zombie walking around. Yeah, so I think all the fights are cool. I can't remember what I said in the good part of the spoilers. Yeah, all the fights are cool. the way that they use like kind of their moves from the video game, I thought was like cool, but sometimes it kind of looked a little weird. But again, I think it's just like the nature of like having a character try to do like a video game move in a live action movie is going to be kind of tricky. I like that they got rid of, you know, the weird power terms. It's just like, oh, you get your powers. That being said, I didn't like that Johnny Cage needed to keep putting on his glasses to kind of like lock in, especially like when things were dire and they needed to destroy the medallion. And he's like, let me put on my glasses real quick so I can use my, like, boy, if you don't get in there, like I'm saying. So I kind of wish that part was like, you know, out of there. I was saying that like when they get to Scorpion and then I guess he's not Sub-Zero, but I forget what he's actually called. And then you got Noob Saibot or whatever. I think that's right. So you have that whole part, and I forgot why they even needed to go to hell in the first place. But I was just kind of like, I feel like they could have integrated those two into the tournament in some way, especially if we got two sorcerers, you know what I'm saying? Some sort of BS to get them, you know, break the rules. And, get them into the tournament. So like them being in a different location was kind of like, why did we go here? Why are we over here? It just kind of feels like we needed to get like, you know, the characters that everybody knows, especially like Scorpion, into the movie. So it's like, how do we bring them in? It's like, I don't know, just do some bullshit and bring them back into the tournament. Like, you know, other than that, I didn't like Kano. Let's get that guy out of here. If there's another one, I hope he dies. I just not like him. Shout out to the fatalities again. People dying when she like stabs him with the fans, I think, and then she opens it up and then she like lets it spin. And I was like, oh fuck, like okay, we're in, baby. So yeah, I think watching this movie, I was like, this is a move in the right direction. This movie should have been what the first movie was, but bygones be bygones, all right. And so I am hoping that if they get a third movie, that it is just like, okay, we figured out how to do cool fights, we're giving you a little more of an interesting story, and we're going to really move this franchise forward. Granted, how many movies do we really need of this franchise? I don't know, but I am hoping we get one more and it is like really good and they like lock in everything. I think the biggest sin of this movie is just the fact that like I don't care about anybody, and I say that in a way of like, it's not that I don't care if like whether they win or lose. I don't care about anybody, and like there's no one to kind of like really hone in on and like be like, oh, this is the character that I really care about. I think they tried to do that with Johnny Cage, but again, I didn't like Carl Urban's performance or I didn't like his version of Johnny Cage in this, and then everyone else just kind of feels like they wanted to be there. But I know that also the other problem is like they tried to do that in the first movie with Cole and it just didn't work out. And so I don't know where you really strike that balance, but I just felt like if you told me a third one's coming and most of these characters were not in it and we did a whole new roster of like they're still Mortal Kombat characters, but like we're bringing in all new characters from Mortal Kombat to be the heroes of like movie number 3, I wouldn't be like, oh no, because again, there's no one I'm really attached to other than like, you know, either the way that they look or like you know, the way that they played when I played the video games, and they already killed Jax and Scorpion's in hell. So in terms of like the heroes, I'm like, you know, I just didn't really care for any of the characters like that in a deep way. So you could wipe the board clean and I'd be like, all right, give me another cool tournament with, you know, Raiden in charge of this team and someone in charge of this team, and, you know, let them fight, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. But maybe that's just me. If you did watch this movie, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think this one is better than the first one? I'm hoping you say yes, but hey, everyone has their own opinion, you know what I'm talking about. Would you want another movie? Oh, excuse me. And do you think it's crazy that I would care that the board would be wiped with brand new characters? Pretty much. Like, did someone really stand out to you that you're just like, man, this person, really my person? You know what I'm saying? Let me know all of that down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.